One day I got a call at the church where I was the pastor, and it was from a lady I had never met. She asked if I could come and visit her as she had just found out she had terminal cancer. She lived about 5 minutes from my church and had attended my church many years ago. After 20 years of being away from church, the seriousness of her diagnosis made her want to talk about God and what was next for her. She was a wonderful person, and I enjoyed visiting with her every week for about 2 months. I did a lot of listening during those 2 months, and she told me all about her family, where she had worked, and also about her time at church. I asked her what had caused her to stop going to church, and she explained that there had been some complications with some of the church members, and she just decided to stop going. She didn't stop believing, but inevitably she started living a lifestyle that was different than what she had lived while being a part of the church family. We talked a lot about God, and I could tell there was a desire in her heart to make sure that she and God were okay. As she became more sick and her time was getting shorter, our conversations focused on heaven and what it would be like. She recommitted her life to Jesus and had peace in her heart when she breathed her last breath. I had the privilege of officiating her funeral at church, and I'm looking forward to seeing her again someday when Jesus calls her name and brings her back to life with no more cancer. Another individual I met under very different circumstances. He also hadn't been to church in decades, and as we became friends, I asked him what it was that caused him to quit going to church. It was very clear that he believed in God, and he lived his life in a way that reflected his faith, but he had not physically been in a church in over 2 decades. He told me the story of a pastor that had said some things to him and had hurt him very deeply, and that was it for him in church. He never went back. The pain from whatever that situation was seemed to still hurt even then. I've met several young people who quit going to church because of comments made in the lobby from church members about how their dresses were inappropriate and they should go and change and then come back to church. They left, but they never came back. There are many people who have been hurt in church in one way or another. I've been a pastor for 18 years now, and I've seen many people leave church because of a situation with another church member that caused deep pain or anger. It's really inevitable when you get a group of people with various personal struggles and insecurities and try to organize them into a team with a purpose. Differing opinions can easily cause a divide and hurt feelings. There's a good chance that if you attend a church that you've had a personal struggle with someone else in church. You might have dealt with a situation that has caused you to step away from attending church. If that is your story, I want to make an appeal to you today. I want to invite you to give church a second chance. I've heard this saying, and it's a little bit cliche, but it's also a little bit true. You don't go to church for the people, you go to church to worship God. For sure, there are a lot of people in church, and we do our best to work together, but the true purpose of attending church is to pause our busy lives and collectively worship the God who created us, who loves us, encourages us, believes in us, and has a future for us. Worshiping God is the primary reason for going to church. But joining together with other believers is a benefit to us personally too in our journey through life. One element of worshiping together is singing. You can sing by yourself and you'll probably sound pretty good. But if you sing together with a group of other people and lift your voices in praise to God, there is something special that happens in our hearts that enhances our worship time. When we get together as a group, we can do more in service for God than we could do on our own. As humans with varying gifts and talents, we can put those together for bigger projects and serve God in a more comprehensive way. Last weekend at my church, we had a brass quartet that joined in for the musical portion of our worship, and it was absolutely heavenly. It was such a beautiful addition to the music we already have each weekend. I want to encourage you to consider church again. I don't know the reason why you haven't been to church, and you might think that it's been so long that maybe it would be weird. People might ask questions. There might be some awkward looks since it's been a while. None of that matters because you are going to church to worship God. Take that first step and just show up. You might need to work through some forgiveness for those that have hurt you, and that will not only help heal your own heart, but it will make it easier to return to church. Hebrews 10:24-25 says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. What great advice! Don't forget to meet together and encourage the ones you meet with and serve Jesus alongside of them. If you see something in church that gets you angry, upset, disappointed, make it your goal to be the positive change that is needed and do it with the kindness of Jesus. Church isn't a place filled with perfect people. It's a place full of people just like you and me, people with highs and lows in life, people with struggles, people with pain, people with baggage, people who need Jesus. In church, we have a huge opportunity to minister to each other and encourage one another. Maybe God is calling you back to church to minister to someone who just needs a hug every once in a while, or a kind word, or a meal delivered to their house, or maybe even just a smile to brighten their day. Church needs you. It's time to come back to church. So put it in your calendar on your phone and set a reminder to spend time worshiping in a church near you this weekend. Soak up the songs, spend time being inspired in God's Word, meet some new people, and worship your Creator who promises to be wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together. If you decide to swing by a church this weekend, I want to be the first to welcome you back to church. And may God bless your life and the talents He has given you to minister to the people around you. I'm Jamie Houghton with 832.